Through swampy falls, their regrets call me. Step in my boat, folks call her Jolie. Pan this ferryman to shepherd them upstream to a past that never was and a future that can't be. Follow the river, follow the river, and head toward the slumbering city. If you're at the crossroads, then you can't turn back. Don't let rude deceive ya, it's not all white and black. Watch out for that dreaming town where many souls have drowned. And beware of Kushma and his whispers to ya. Oh, follow the river, follow the river, and head toward that daydreaming city. Follow the river, follow the river, follow the river, child. You gon' have to stay a while. While you're at the crossroads, better not turn your back to erase your regret. It's not all white and black. Is it lies or is it true? No one is telling, bitter or sweet. Now, what's more compelling? Oh, follow the river, follow the river, and find the town on the tapestry. Follow the river, follow the river, follow the river, child. You're gonna have to stay a while. Follow the river, follow the river, follow the river, child. You're gonna have to stay alive.
Tonight's the night, reunite, party over here. No mass destruction needed.
All right, everybody. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Backlog Battlin. For anyone who was wondering, we started off the show with a song called Shake Them Bones from the South of Midnight soundtrack. And that was the opening for Persona 3 Dancing in the Moonlight as well there. And joining me is my co-host, Mr. Nerdy Neo. How are you doing, sir?
Doing well. Glad to be back. Missed the last couple weeks. Had a lot to been missing talking about stuff because I've had a lot to talk about and haven't had this show to talk about it. So glad we're back in the swing of things.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, a lot of stupid personal stuff kind of came up in my life, and then the weather here has been crappy, and work has been a lot hard. But finally back, feel energized, feel ready to go, back on the horse, high on the hog, whatever euphemism. There you go. That's the word I'm trying to say. Euphemism. There you go. Ignore my gypsy talking. It's all over the place. But yeah, we're back. It's been a couple weeks, and now we're going full in on this one. So, Neo, how are you doing?
Doing good. I have been playing So since we missed a couple weeks, I'm not going to be talking about what I've been playing like the last week. Well, I'll probably talk about that next week. I'll probably talk about all the stuff that we missed from like 2-3 weeks ago that we haven't gotten a chance to talk about. So some of the stuff isn't exactly fresh off my mind, but it was very recent.
I got you. Yeah, I got all of the stuff pulled up here for some the videos that we're going to talk about. Neo, I feel like just kind of a quick glance. What are some other games that you've kind of been dabbling with? Like, just put your finger in the pie and not fully eating it, as they would say.
Okay, that's actually an excellent question because I mentioned this on Party Chat last night. At least I think I did. A game that 3 games in one of my favorite franchises were released last year, and I played 2 of them, but one of them I did not play because it did not come to Game Pass. But it just came to Game Pass last week, so I dipped my toe in it, played the first couple levels, and that is Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. So I played Ninja Gaiden 2 Black last year and Ninja Gaiden 4. Both were excellent, but I did not get a chance to play Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, and that one is because the other, those first 2 I mentioned are 3D action hack and slashes, whereas Ragebound is a pixel art 2D platforming hack and slash. And I've been looking forward to playing that. So I dipped my toe in it as soon as it launched on Game Pass. I've beaten only the first 2 levels. I really like it. I'll probably be getting into that one in probably maybe within the next 2 weeks or so. So I'll probably be talking about that one in the next couple weeks. But the little bit that I played, I really enjoyed, and everything that I've seen from it has been great. And everybody who I've talked to who has played it also says it's great. So I'm looking forward to diving into that one. And playing that one in its entirety.
Okay, pretty cool. Is that the only one you wanted to say?
Let's see here. I did. I'll talk about this one in depth in a couple weeks. I've only beaten I've only played for 15 minutes, but I did just start Mega Man Zero, which was the Mega Man Zero games. There's 4 of them. They were on GBA. I played them. I don't know if I ever played all 4 of them back on the GBA. But I did play through all 4 of them on the Mega Man Zero collection that came out probably in 2020. So I have beaten them all, but I'm replaying through them again for the first, possibly second time. But I've only played the first one for about 15-20 minutes, beat the first level, and I'm just early on in the second level. So I've been looking forward to playing through those games again because I'm a huge fan of Mega Man. And I wanted to beat one other Mega Man game that I was working on. I'll talk about that one next week, because I just finished that one a couple days ago. But I wanted to finish that one before I got into another Mega Man game. And that is Mega Man Maverick Hunter X. So I'll be talking about that one next week.
All right. Yeah, cool. All right. Any more?
Again, another one that I just started playing yesterday. So I'll be talking about it probably next week or maybe the week after. And that is due to next week's top 5. I wanted to get a couple more games in that could potentially be on next week's top 5, and that's top 5 puzzle games. And so I have a couple of really short puzzle games that I'm going to be playing. I started one yesterday, and that is called The Last Campfire. It's decent. It's a cute little 3D puzzling game. I don't think it's going to make my list or even my honorable mentions, but it's very short, so I'm already about 2/3 of the way through it. But I'll talk about that one in depth in probably a week or 2 as well.
Yeah, my wife actually liked that game. She
okay.
bought it when she was playing that for a little bit. I don't know if she beat it, but I remember she would play it a lot, and she's like, it was a little fun, little cozy game.
Very cozy, absolutely. So I am liking it. It's not blowing my mind or anything.
Yeah.
So, one other quick one I will mention that I dabbled in just for a few minutes. I got 2 achievements, and it's because it's a Metroidvania that just came to Game Pass a week or so ago, and it is also a game that I have in our Fantasy Critic League, and which is the only, and because of it, I'm the only person that has points so far because it's the only game that's actually released, and that's called Neo Memories in Orbit. I played the demo for this on stream back in like November, and I was not a fan of it. But because it's a Metroidvania and it's on Xbox and on Game Pass, I'm absolutely going to play it at some point. But I just, played the first like an hour, got the first 2 achievements, and so far I got farther in the demo than I have gotten in the actual release of the game. And the demo was just like the first like hour and a half of the game. So it's not like they created a separate thing for the demo. It's like, here, we're just going to cut out the beginning of the game and make that as the demo. So it's exactly what I played on stream, and it's not wowing me any more than the demo did because, as I mentioned, the demo, I was not too thrilled to play it after the demo. I was much more interested before the demo than after. I will play it in its entirety at some point, but just like Silksong, it'll probably be a while till I get around to playing it in its entirety.
No problem. Alrighty. Do you have any more, or can we move on to me real quickly?
Let's see here. That is... Yep, that's about it that I've dabbled in.
All right, cool. For me, I've just been still dabbling around with Age of Empires 2, just kind of going through the campaigns here and there, beating a few more. Nothing really too much to add to that one. Another one that I've been dabbling with is a kind of a spoiler for 2 of the games that I'm going to talk about on this list here. Final Fantasy III, the Pixel Remaster Collection. I started playing, I beat the first 2 games, and those are 2 I'm going to talk about in great detail. But Final Fantasy III, started playing that one, and probably did, like you said, about 15 minutes, and then I'm like, okay, going back to bed. Because I just got to keep my Game Pass points up. And then after that, I'm still sticking through my grind of Chrono Trigger. Haven't really played too much Chrono Trigger in a while because I've been trying to readjust my life by going to bed more. So instead of it being my bedtime game where I'm just playing in bed, I've just been going to sleep and just trying to readjust my sleep schedule like that. But kind of here and there and everywhere with all that stuff with those games. But a lot of JRPGs, basically. I've been doing a lot of JRPGs, dabbling more here and there. I think actually, looking at my list here, 3 of the 4 games I've played are technically JRPGs.
Okay, yep, absolutely.
And then we got Mr. Pop Culture Mechanic joining us saying, good evening, gentlemen. Good evening.
What's up, Pop?
Hope you're having a wonderful day. I hope the Arctic weather hasn't killed you like it's been killing us down here in the States, too.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
Hasn't been too bad here. It was like 60, almost 65 today. But I know in the Northeast, it's been wild.
Yeah, the Northeast, the South, the Midwest, too, for that matter. But Midwest here has been more cold than snowy, which is kind of weird. I think we got like maybe a quarter of an inch of snow over here in Illinois. And then everyone in the South got destroyed in the East Coast. And I'm like, good, finally. But yeah, those are just the small games that we've been dabbling with. And then we'll start to get started on the real big games now, in-depth conversation. So, Neo, you're taking timestamps, right?
I am.
All right. We'll start with you then first.
All right. Yeah, I think I have probably one more to talk about than you today. So I will go ahead and kick us off. I'll just go ahead and go down the list in the order that I sent them to you. Okay. And so I'm going to talk about 2 back-to-back because they're both very similar. They are 2 games in the same franchise, and that is the Hellblade games. So I originally played Hellblade, the first one. Let's see here. I will have it for you in just a second. 21, I want to say. Let's see here. I played it in 22. I played in February of 2022. So it's been almost 4 years since I played it originally. And then I had not played Hellblade 2 yet. So it was my first replay of Hellblade 1. And I briefly mentioned this last night on Party Chat that I wouldn't say it was like a first playthrough because I did remember chunks of the game, but there was a lot of stuff that I had forgotten about the first game as well. But I just kind of remember the overall, the feel of the game. And I really liked Hellblade 1 when I originally played it. It's I think I mentioned it briefly. I don't know if it was on this show or another show, but for anyone who hasn't played it, it's like a mixture of 3 separate genres, and you're not doing any one of the genres or any 2 of those genres at any one time. It's like this part is a walking simulator, and then this part is a puzzle part, and then this part is a combat part. So they're like all very distinct, which I didn't have a problem with. Like I said, I really enjoyed the game, and it's got a very dark, eerie vibe, but I wouldn't say it's scary at all.
Atmospheric.
It's very atmospheric. Yeah, absolutely. You're this. So you play as Senua, and she's on this quest to save her, I don't know if it was her husband or just the man she loved, but they were deeply in love, and he died somehow. I don't really remember. Viking raid. Okay, I was like, some sort of like battle or something. He was killed.
The subtlety of this game is basically Senua has a mental illness.
Yes.
So
that's another thing is really interesting about this game. But yeah, go ahead and touch on that.
Yeah, so like Senua has a mental illness, and Ninja Theory, they went really deep. They like sat down with health experts and mental health and everything to get everything kind of right for people who suffer from these audio hallucinations and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know if this is exactly what she has in the game, if that would be considered schizophrenia, but I think so.
It's a type of schizophrenia.
That could be.
I don't think it's 100% it, but the thing about this game is that you don't know what is her, demons and what is real, and that's kind of the whole point here in this game, because it's based off of Norse mythology. Obviously, the subtext of this game is that she's trying to go find Hela and save her husband from, or like you said, husband or her beloved from the depths of hell.
Yeah, basically, she's heading into what is the Norse hell, essentially, to rescue his soul from damnation. Yeah. And so his name is Dillion. Mm-hmm. And I thought about this too late in the game, but when I did my Metroid Other M playthrough on stream, I did the baby counter, because people give that game a lot of crap about how many times it say the baby. I think my counter was only 12 at the end of the game, so it's not really that much, but it would have been interesting to do that for this game for every time the name Dillion got mentioned, because it would probably be in the hundreds of times. But yeah, so as you mentioned, she's basically hearing voices in her head that are always like discouraging her and like, telling her she's not good enough, or don't believe your eyes, what you're seeing isn't real. And when I originally played this game back in 2022, someone told me, when you play it with headphones. It totally is basically required reading, essentially. It's like, this is if there's ever a game you're going to play with headphones, this is the game to do it. So I did that the first time, and I absolutely did that the second time as well. When you play this game, absolutely play with headphones, because it makes it just another level of immersiveness, because she's hearing the voices, but if you're wearing headphones or you have a really good surround sound, you'll hear the voices coming from in front of you, behind you, to the side. They do a really good. The sound design in this game is phenomenal. One of the best.
Yes.
So
revolutionary, I would say.
Yeah, so it's not a very long game. The completion estimate for all the achievements is only 6 to 8 hours, and
yes,
it's even without a guide, it's pretty easy to get all the achievements, because I'd say like half the achievements are just for story related, or maybe all but 2 of them. A few minutes ago, you saw her walk up to the stone. And it had all these little runes next to it that are lit up. So there's an achievement for finding all the runes, and they're not very difficult to find. I did follow a guide just to make sure I didn't miss any, because if you miss them, it is a missable achievement. You have to play through the whole game again. So I did just follow that just to make sure I didn't miss any of them. But it's not too difficult to find them if you go out of your way to look. And those runes, every time you focus on them, you hear Druth, who is like your mentor, and he tells you bits and pieces of a story. And so as you're playing through the game and you're finding these runes, he's kind of giving you background story on the game. So it's definitely worthwhile to go and find them just for the story aspect of the game. It doesn't have any actual gameplay impact other than giving you an achievement at the end. But yeah, it's only like 7 or 8 chapters, so it's not very long. Yeah, it's little walking segments, and then you'll find these like puzzle segments where you'll walk up to a door that's locked, and it shows you like this symbol, and then you're in a puzzle section, and you have to find different things in the environment that line up to make that symbol. And so you have to go and find those different symbols in the environment. And once you found all 1, 2, 3 of the symbols in the environment, however many there are on the door, then the door unlocks and you can proceed, which is kind of cool. Like I said, very basic puzzle elements. It's not a whole lot to it. And when you're in the area of where that symbol is, you'll see tons of them just floating in the air. So all right, I'm in the right spot. I just need to figure out where exactly it is and line up the different like branches of a tree or whatever to form that rune. And then the other aspect is the combat. And the combat is, it's not very deep, but I really like the combat. And it's pretty simple. I don't remember the first one actually has a difficulty setting, but I remember 2 has a difficulty setting. But 1 is early on, you're fighting like 1 guy at a time. And then as you progress through the game, you'll fight 2. And then sometimes you'll fight 3 guys at a time. Mm-hmm. And then at the very end of the game, you fight a whole bunch of them. But you're almost like in not Super Saiyan mode, but you're I don't even know if it's like your rage, but you build up your
focus mode.
Your focus mode. So the game also is. Oh, I didn't even think about this, but this is also a game that has a diegetic UI. And for anyone who doesn't know the term diegetic interface, it means where the information that the game displays to the player is actually in the world, so the character can see it as well. I learned that because of Dead Space. Like, you see your health because it's on the back of your character. So this game has a diegetic UI, although there's very little HUD elements. But as I mentioned, Dillian, so she's carrying, you see the sack on that she's holding right there is on her belt on the back left side of her, and that's the head of Dillian that she's carrying to hell to try to rescue his soul. And then on the back right of her is a little mirror. And as in your combat, the mirror will like fill up. And then once it's full, you can hit right trigger, I think it is. And you go into like slow mode and you basically just wreck everything for a little while. So in the final combat section, when you're fighting a whole bunch of guys, that meter fills really fast. So you can stay in like focus mode for longer. But like I said, the combat is not very in depth. It's basically just dodging to different dodge right, dodge left, or step back. Then there's light attack, heavy attack, and then there's a parry button. So for parry, you can hold parry to block, but if you hit the parry button and time it right, then you'll parry it, and sometimes you can go basically into an immediate execution, or you'll get a lot more focus for your focus meter, so it'll build up faster so you can get into focus mode simpler. So that's basically the basics of the game, and that applies both to Hellblade 1 and to Hellblade 2.
Yes.
But the first game here is mostly dealing with, I don't know if I would say Norse gods, but like almost like demigods, or just like people who worship these gods that they're like unnaturally tall. So I don't know if they're actually humans or not, but there are some like Hela, and I don't remember if there was any other Norse gods that
there were 2 more. Because you get 2 boss fights in this game as well. One of them is Surt, and the other one
that's
is
right.
I can't remember, but he's the one that's the crow guy who
the crow guy. Yeah.
I couldn't remember his name off the top of my head, but I
forgot his name as well.
And that guy.
Yes. So you do fight like regular guys, but they're still like really large. They look just human, but they're wearing like,
I think they're Draugr in this game.
That could be, but they're you don't ever see their faces. They're wearing like helmets and like skulls of animals and stuff. So you don't really see their faces,
they're like the basic enemy.
but they're like humans. But there are a couple bosses that are humanoid, and you fight them.
Mm-hmm.
So, but there are a couple of the there's each level. Or not each level, but some of the levels do some unique things that you only see for like a short period of time. Like I want to say like the second to last chapter is you have to keep your torch lit because there's a like shadow monster that's hunting you, and if you stay in the shadows too long, then you don't ever actually see it, but you can like the screen like starts to shake and it flashes red if you've been in the dark too long.
Mm-hmm.
So it like really kind of gets your heart racing. But that was kind of a unique element in the game. It doesn't take place anywhere else in the game, and that's really the only section of the game that's actually like I would say could qualify as scary. So me, I don't really like scary stuff, but I really enjoyed this game. So Hellblade 1 I like a lot, and I liked it just as much the second time as I did the first time. And then immediately after I did Hellblade 2, I went into playing immediately after playing Hellblade 1, I went into playing Hellblade 2 for the first time. I'd never played it before. And so overall, I enjoyed it. It's basically more of the first game. Like I said, the gameplay is basically the same. You got your little walking segments, you got your puzzle segments, and you got your combat segments. Overall, I like Hellblade 1 more than 2, but I still enjoyed my time with 2. The best thing I say about 2 is it's visually one of the most impressive games I've ever seen. It is a gorgeous game. And one of the things that was beneficial that I didn't play it because I think it came out, like 2 years ago?
Yeah.
It released in May of 2024, so almost 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And one of the things that myself included was not skeptical, but was just like, really? Was the fact that it launched in only 30 frames a second. Since then, there's been a patch. It now has 60 frames a second mode. So another benefit of waiting to play some of these games is I got to play it in 60 frames. And not only did it look gorgeous, but it also played buttery smooth. So Hellblade 2, though, is you leave like your homeland because these people come from across the sea to basically take your people from your land away as slaves. So you're going, the game starts out as you're on a slave ship, essentially. You're basically pretending to be a slave, but you are bound and you have no weapon or anything. But your goal is to go to, wherever they came from and find out, why and try to stop them from taking your people from slaves. And so, the premise of Hellblade 2 is you actually have a couple of NPCs that become your friends. So there's you're not just on this solo adventure, essentially. You actually have some NPCs that become teammates. Although you never actually play as them, they just kind of show up here and there and talk to you. But you actually aren't just talking with yourself. You have other people to interact with. And the premise of this one is, in addition to finding out why your people are being taken as slaves and how to stop them, this basically slight spoilers if you haven't played it. The reason why the people are taking people as slaves is to offer them as sacrifices to these monsters that are terrorizing their land. And so your goal to stop the need for slaves is to stop these monsters. And everyone thinks that they're unkillable, but throughout the course of the game, you find out how to defeat them, and you're the only one who knows how to do it. And it has, that's the part that kind of, I didn't really understand, is like somehow getting to know the monsters and their backstory is what allows you to defeat them. I don't really understand like why, but okay, I'll go with it. But yeah, so essentially somehow Senua discovers that she finds out the backstory of these monsters and how they became the monsters that they are, and that allows her to defeat them somehow. And so, at the end of the game, you've defeated the monsters, and there's no more need for the slave trade. The main difference between this one and the first one is, in my opinion, is the combat. In this one, you are only ever in one-on-one combat. There's never a time where it's you versus 2 or 3 enemies. It's always one-on-one. And in some of the situations, it makes sense because there's some scenarios where it's you and a bunch of other people who are like also slaves. Basically, they're getting slaughtered. But you'll after you defeat one enemy, another enemy will like grab you and turn you around, or you'll see like one of the people who's one of the slaves or whatever, like running past you, and then you'll see like an axe they'll get hit in the back with an axe, and then you turn to see the guy that threw the axe and you fight him. But there are other situations where it's just you and a bunch of enemies, but for some reason you're still only fighting one-on-one. I mean, it makes sense from a gameplay standpoint because this game wasn't designed to have multiple enemies in a single combat encounter, but it makes no sense lore-wise because there's a bunch of them, there's only one of you, but still you fight them one at a time and they basically wait their turn, which makes no sense. But the gameplay, the combat, like I said, is the same. You build up a focus meter and you can unleash your focus meter and go into slow-mo, and that's basically almost like an instant win button. For the first game, I do have all the achievements in both the Xbox and the Windows version. The Hellblade 2, though, after when they released that 60 FPS patch, they also added one additional achievement, and it's the only one that I don't have, and it'll probably be a while till I go for it because they added an achievement for I don't know if this difficulty was in the game to begin with for Hellblade 2, but either way, they added an achievement for beating it in the hardest difficulty called Dark Rot. And that's another thing about the game is in Hellblade 1, after the prologue, the game tells you that if you die too much, then there's permadeath and you'll have to start the game over again. The thing is, though, in the first game, that's just to mess with your head. You can die as many times as you want. It's not going to punish you or anything. But the game wants you to think that there is to mess with your head. Hellblade 2, however, on Dark Rot difficulty, which is also the hardest difficulty, there is permadeath after you get 4 lives. So if you die 3 times and die the 4th time, the game is over. You have to start over. And there are a lot of one-hit deaths in this game where I was playing it on I think I was playing on the normal difficulty, and there was a section where I died like 5 or 6 times just because I'm like, how are you supposed to do this? Because this enemy just pops out of nowhere and like instantly kills you. So if I was playing it on that Dark Rot difficulty and that was like 75% of the way through the game, I would be so pissed if I got there and this like cheap death just killed me multiple times. Then I had to start over. So I do plan to get that achievement at some point, but I don't know when I'm going to go back to it. And then the one other thing I was going to mention is that I said in the first game, it's very atmospheric and it's kind of eerie, but it's not really scary. That segment I was just talking about where this creature just like pops out of nowhere and kills you. There's this whole chapter where the entire game is underground and it's near pitch black. And this went straight into horror territory. And that chapter was really freaking scary. And because you're not just fighting people, you're fighting like these underground, they're like humanoid creatures, but they're more creature than human. And you can't see anything. There's basically like an ethereal light along the ground that's leading you in the direction you need to go, but you can't see anything yourself except you can see some of these creatures like scampering around, and sometimes they'll just pop out of nowhere and scare the bejesus out of you. So this one chapter was really freaking creepy. But other than that, I would say, scary wise, it's on par with the first game, except for that one chapter. It definitely ramped up the scariness. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed Hellblade 2 a lot. I do like the first game more, but if you like the first one, I think you'll like the second one. And it is, like I said, probably the most visually impressive game I've ever seen. It looks amazing.
Yeah, for sure. I want to say Hellblade 1 was originally supposed to be a PlayStation exclusive.
Oh, being a Ninja Theory, that would make sense.
Yeah, and then they actually dropped it as a exclusive game, and that's how it ended up on everything else. And then Microsoft eventually bought them out too. So I really do enjoy this game. Like I said, that it's a how, the best way is it's an experience. It's not.
Yes.
It's definitely one of these more filmatic, slower paced, just atmospheric games that you should play. Uh, Definitely check them out if you have a chance to, because Hellblade was my favorite new IP from last generation.
Yeah, I know you talked about Hellblade 2 and how much you liked it. They are both on Game Pass, and they're both relatively short, like 6 to 8 hours for both of them. So they're pretty
Yeah.
short. So they're worth a play.
You can do them back to back very easily. And I think recently on Steam, number two went on sale for like $12 recently. So they go on sale quite a lot.
Yeah, and play them both with headphones. It definitely makes the experience better. Yeah, they're good games. And I think I played both of them in the span of a week. So
Yeah.
while I was playing some other stuff as well. So not long games, and I definitely recommend them for the experience.
For sure, for sure. All right, I'm going to start with my first one then. This is a game I beat for my first game of the year that I beat this year, and that is the Final Fantasy, the original Final Fantasy, the Pixel Remaster version of that one. And what can I say about this game other than it was just very fun, cozy, relaxing. One of these very nice early JRPGs that just hits all the right buttons of just simplistic. Best way to say it is just simplistic. You basically have like the most simplistic storyline of you play as 4 legendary heroes. You gotta stop evil and reignite the power of the crystals, and then you fight the big bad at the end of the game. That is really it. There's no super deep story lore as you go around, fight things, beat evil things, go to next area, fight evil things, beat evil things, revitalize crystal and stuff like that. I can't really say that the story was amazing or impressive. I just thought this was very fun. And I just one of my favorite things to say is a very pick up and put easy to pick up, easy to put down kind of game. And that's what a lot of these Pixel Remaster games have been reminding me of, is that they're very easy to pick up, very easy to put down. Some really good handheld fodder, I would say. So if you have a Steam Deck, a ROG, or even a Portal or anything else like that, and a Switch, and you can play these games, it's just fun. They're just very simplistic RPGs. They get the basic core of just pick your classes too. That's another thing. You can assemble your party with certain amount of classes at the beginning of the game. So there's a warrior, a monk, a white and black mage, and I believe they have a red mage too in this one as well. And through the story, you learn and uncover stuff, and you get special things to go around and do stuff. So you get like a canoe to cross over little rivers and streams, get on a little boat, you can sail around the world, you get an airship so you can fly around the world, go to mountains and stuff like that. But this was one of the first bosses that you see on the screen here too. Garland, he's the first boss you fight. And I like the pixel art style. Everything in this game is not exactly going to blow your mind and just overall crazy, well detailed 3D pixel art that you see in some of the later iterations. They're very kind of basic. It's like, here's a rat, here's a messed up rat, here's an orc, here's vampires. It's like, it's like, what am I doing? Like a Spirit Halloween costume like store? What's going on over here with some of these enemy choices? But later on, you get a better ability to go into another area and then upgrade all your characters and give them their specialty class and everything too, which I did think was pretty fun. But overall, like I said, the story is just very basic. Rescue princess, get item. Rescue other person, get item. Go over here, go over there. Level up your characters. One thing I did like too is that they have a boost feature in this game too. So if you don't want to like overgrind, you can set it down to like 0.5 or something like that. Or if you wanted to overgrind, you can max it up to like times 4. and save yourself a bunch of time. They have obviously the fast forward the battles too to make the battles go a lot faster. And on top of that too, they also had feature to make run the default, because that's another thing in this game. You are
Okay.
walking everywhere, and it is slow as all hell. So I went right away and said, no, we're not going to do that. So you're running everywhere inside of the city, in the buildings, in the dungeons, but you're not going to run outside in the giant overworld map. That's the only thing that they will not allow you to run with. But basically, one thing I noticed a lot about this when I was playing it is that there's certain dungeons that you go through, and a lot of them were giving me vibes that I was like, why does this feel so familiar? And there's this one dungeon level that's later on in the game, and I sat there and I went, oh, this is in Pokemon. So for anyone who's played Pokemon, and if you haven't played Final Fantasy, but if you played this game, you might understand where I'm coming from now too. There's one level, I should say, in Pokemon where you have to go and you got to fight Giovanni, and to get to him, you have to go on these little panels and they teleport you around and everything like that too. And that's also in this game to a different extent, where there's a dungeon where you have to go on those same little squares and they teleport you around, and you got to try to find the right pattern to teleport you to the proper place. And the only thing I could think of was like, oh, so this is where Pokemon got their ideas from too. It's one of those early JRPGs that probably inspired a little bit of the Pokemon universe in that way, where they actually had basically a copy paste, a little spin on their own dungeon that they added as, I think, a tribute. That's my personal theory. I couldn't tell you, but it wouldn't shock me at all if that was the case. One thing I will say is this game was pretty easy. I'm a over grinder in JRPGs as well, so I will put on like a podcast and I'll sit there and grind for like a couple hours or something just to kill some time and level up my guys. And I was kind of blowing through a lot of these enemies, these like big bad bosses. They weren't really putting up any sort of resistance to me at all. They might as well have been the French. But the final boss, Chaos. So I will say this. I did have a guide, but it was only a guide to help me, stay on the beaten path. Like, go to point A, go to point B, and everything else. Because nothing in this game is going to make any sense. It's one of those old JRPGs where you would probably spend 30 hours just wandering around going, like, where the hell do I go? To try to figure out what the next objective is. There's no marker or guiding hand. They might say something, and if you forgot about it, well, good luck. You probably forgot about it.
Yeah, that drives me nuts.
Yeah, this is old video gaming we're talking about here. But in the guide, I was using the original Final Fantasy guide, because you can still use these guides and they still work for the Pixel Remaster. But in the guide, it said Chaos only had 2,000 health in the original game. Okay. That is not the case in the Pixel Remaster. So
how much HP does he have in this one?
He has 20k.
Oh, geez. 10 times the amount it says.
Yes, 10 times the amount of health. All right. And I was getting bodied by him very, very handily. And I was at the
even over-leveled.
I wasn't super over-leveled, though, on this one. I was up. They said the recommended level. I was basically at the recommended level.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, this should work. And I went into this blind. I wasn't being a perfectionist. I wasn't trying to get all the best gear and stats and everything, try to find all the secret nooks and crannies. Like, I did some of that, but I wasn't using that type of guide. I was just using a map, like point A, point B, here we go. So I missed a few spells, and I didn't get certain things propped up properly, which I want to talk about the spell system in this game. Only certain people can learn spells, which is fine. But I do appreciate that instead of like a overall mana pool, it was level 1 spells you could cast this many times. Level 2 spells you could cast this many times. So each level pool had X amount of times that you can use spells from that level to do those spells, which I was like, that's actually pretty cool.
Okay, and that does like if you use a higher level spell, it doesn't affect how many times you can cast a spell that's in a lower tier, right?
No, it was only for that tier, which
Okay.
I to be honest with you, I've never seen that in a JRPG, to
Yeah,
my
me neither.
knowledge. But I thought this one was actually pretty cool, so I did relatively enjoy that. But I got bodied by Chaos a bunch of times. I want to say at least 3 times, and I eventually said, "Ah, to hell with this." So I grinded all my characters up to level 100. I put in the ×4 XP boost, and I was just going around killing all the enemies because it's the final level, so it's nothing but super high level monsters that give you massive amounts of HP. And
XP.
yeah, sorry, I said HP, XP. But I will say this: Chaos is such a cheap bastard. It is unfathomable. All right, my armor was not bad at all. Everyone had relatively like the best armor that they could get, and we were spec'd really well to stop his spell attacks. I want to say the max HP you can have as your characters is 999, and his spell attacks at most were doing about like 30, 40 on average. But then he just has like a random physical attack that he'll just throw out there every now and then. And the highest I saw it go on one of my characters was 785.
Jeez.
So
Nearly a one shot.
yeah, and I was just like, what? Are you serious? I'm level maxed out. You're not level maxed out. And I don't think he scales or anything, but he's got 20,000 HP, and then he could just rattle off 700 damage on your guys without even a care in the world. And I'm like, what is going on here?
That attack, does that attack multiple characters or only attack one at a time?
It only attacks one, but at the same time, if he takes out one of your characters, then you have to waste a lot of time and resources to bring him back to life. And like I said, I didn't spec properly,
Yeah.
So when I'm not spec properly for this like whole fight at all, so I didn't bring some spells with me, because you can't learn every spell. You have to pick a certain amount of spells that take up your spots. And I was like, oh, I don't need the revive and full HP guy. I'm bodying all these guys, and my hubris got the better of me on that one.
Yeah.
But I think I sat there for probably a good half an hour, just cooking him with this one spell that kept doing about between 500 and 600 damage. And then later on, I find out that he also has another secret spell that will heal 9,999
Of his own health. Oh my
his own
goodness.
health. Just like you'll randomly do it. So kudos to Square Enix there. They made one of the most annoying endgame bosses I think I've ever had the displeasure of dealing with. But when I finally beat him, it was probably one of the most euphoric victories I've had in quite some time in video gaming.
Not quite to that extent, but one of the games I'll be talking about tonight has a similar. I have a similar situation.
Yeah. But overall, I said I really did enjoy this game. I gave it a B overall. If you have access to the Pixel Remaster, so far I've enjoyed the first 2 games of this series. I do like that these are also, I believe, games that were only locked to Japan for quite some time until relatively recently, when they got ports later on down the line for PSP and such.
Yeah. I don't know the details of it. Dude has explained it to me because he knows it pretty well. But I know that like Final Fantasy 3 here was like Final Fantasy 6 in Japan, because there's some that were not released in the US, and so to not make things confusing, they just called them like 1, 2, and 3 here, but really they were like 2, 4, and 6 or something like that.
It was like 2. I think it was like 1 came out here, and then 2 and 3 did not come out here, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, so if they release it here as Final Fantasy 2, people would be like, hey, what about 1? It's like, oh, well, you don't have access to that one. So in order to avoid confusion like that, they just called it a different number in the States than they did in Japan. So
yeah. But overall, like I said, highly recommend this one. If you're looking for a classic JRPG, something that's not too long, I think I beat both of these games in like 13 hours, and I think most of that was due to having the auto run on, which does help. So, highly recommend it as well. If you're looking for a throwback and a nice little cozy game, especially in this winter time, or even a good handheld game on the go, definitely check out the Pixel Remaster Collection, specifically the first game on that list.
So, a couple questions for you.
Sure.
Is this the first time you've played some version of Final Fantasy 1?
Yeah.
Okay. And it looks like it has random encounters. Was that?
Yes.
Okay. And it looks like you can have 4 people in your party at a time.
Yeah, this game has a locked-in player cast and crew that you pick from the beginning and kind of go with it.
So there are more than 4 characters to pick from, but once you pick them, you can't change them?
It's basically 4 classes. You choose your 4 classes, and then you can name them whatever you want, and then you just go be free.
Okay. So how many classes are there to pick from?
I think there's 6 off the top of my head, if I recall. There's monk, rogue, warrior, and then 3 mage classes.
Okay.
So you can mix and match your team.
Does it tell you ahead of time basically what the strengths and weaknesses are of each class, or do you just kind of have to figure it out for yourself?
You have to figure it out for yourself, but if you're a JRPG veteran, then you should understand what it is. It's like, okay, white mage is healing, black mage is damage, red mage is kind of a little mixture, you know?
Okay. Gotcha.
Got my wife joining us saying hi.
Oh, hello, Mrs. Carl.
Hope you have a good night there. She's door dashing.
Ah.
But yeah, that's basically for that one. The best way I could say it in football terms is like when you have the offensive line and a defensive line line up against each other, and then they just smash into each other. You know, that's what this RPG is. It's basic. Here's my 4 dudes. Now let's see if I can make it work and a custom for every situation.
Okay.
But yeah, that's my little take on Final Fantasy, the first one for the Pixel Remaster. Very good soundtrack, and it does another thing too, where you can play with the modern soundtrack or the original as well.
Ah, okay. So they gave the soundtrack an upgrade as well.
And the visuals too. You can have classic visual or regular visual.
Oh, very nice.
So it does a lot. They give you a lot of options to see if you want to like experience it more of a classical way, or if you are like, I'm an adult and I got 17 other games I want to play. Here you go. Have fun.
And the visuals, can you flip back and forth on the fly?
You have to go in the menu to do that.
Okay, but you can do it pretty much whenever you want. It's not like a
Yes.
setting you have to pick at the beginning of the game and then stick with it.
Yeah, you can pause it and then change them at will in the options menu.
Okay, so it sounds like it's a pretty faithful remaster then, if you have the ability to switch between classic and remastered. Then
It gives you a lot of tools to play how you feel like you want to play.
very nice.
Yes, indeed. All right, Neil, what game do you want to go to next?
All right, so next one up I will talk about is another rather short game, and there's 2 of them. One of them was one of the, I don't even know if I want to say like the highlight of the Xbox One launch, or maybe it was the Series X launch. I think it was the Series X, but
I think I know what you're talking about.
they're both 2 very short games, and is Bright Memory and Bright Memory Infinite. So I played Bright Memory, the first one, a number of years ago. Let's see here, Bright Memory. I played it in July of 2021, so it's coming up on 5 years ago. And I thought that game was a demo because it was only like full price. It was like $5, maybe $10. Let's see here. It's $8 full price. I think I got it on sale for $4 for 50% off when I bought it. It released in November of 20. So yeah, it was. Oh, they're both Series X only games, so you can't play them on an Xbox One. So yeah, because it was one of those games. It's like you need a higher powered machine in order to play this game because it's so visually impressive. I don't know why this wouldn't be able to run on an Xbox One because it doesn't look that visually impressive. But yeah, so the Bright Memory, the first one, is 100% of the achievements is like 2 to 3 hour completion, so it's rather short. And so I was like, oh, this must just be like a demo, or like a clip of the full game. And Bright Memory Infinite is the full game, and I don't. Bright Memory Infinite actually released a little over 2 years after Bright Memory did, and I picked that one up. I don't know when I picked it up, but Bright Memory Infinite is $20 full price, and I probably picked it up when it was on sale for, let's see here, its best sale was $14. So it hasn't actually been on that big of a sale. 30% off is the biggest sale price. So I probably picked it up when it was on sale for 30% off because I wanted to play it, and I was like, oh, it's a more full price game, so that must be the full game. It is longer, but not by much. Even at 100% of the achievements for this one, it's only 5 to 6 hour completion. And yeah, that's exactly right. It says that 6 hours and 9 minutes is what it took to complete it. So even so, it's still a very short game. And I think it only has like 8 chapters. And it is, as you can see, it's a first person shooter mixed with some hack and slash. You always have the sword. The story, if you want to call it that, is incredibly nonsensical. It makes like I said, I thought the first one was just like a demo, and the second one would expand on the story and it would actually make sense. Nope, stuff is just happening. Whoever wrote this just like, it's like throwing ideas at a wall and seeing what sticks. Are you familiar with the animated show called Axe Cop?
No.
Okay, so it was a really funny premise. Axe Cop, it was voiced by Ron Swanson. And basically the idea of the show was like this guy who was an animator, he had like his like 8-year-old son or something just like write the most outrageous ideas, and then he animated it and turned it into the show. So like this show makes like absolutely no sense whatsoever, but it's really funny. That's kind of what I felt like with this game. It's like they had no like idea of what they were doing with the story. They just wanted to throw stuff in that they thought would be cool with complete disregard for anything that actually makes any sense. Because like the opening cutscene is so this is I'm pretty sure this was developed by some Chinese studio because the whole game takes place in like China. And the game starts out when you're in your high-rise apartment in China, and you're watching like the Chinese New Year on the news, and you're seeing fireworks outside your window and stuff. And you get a call from like your CIA boss or whatever, and he's like, "We've got this mission. We need you to go." And she's like, "All right, I'm on my way." And then she gets in like a jet that goes into like a hyperdrive. It goes in like warp speed. You see like stars, like it's Star Wars is going into hyperspace, and the stars stretch out. And then all of a sudden you're in the atmosphere of, it's like, it looks like Earth, but I could be on another planet for all I know, but everything is like Chinese. So it's like, I think I'm still on Earth, but how would I be on Earth if I went into light speed? I would be very far away from Earth. But no, all of a sudden you come out of hyperspace and you're in the atmosphere of a planet, and there's a black hole, as you can see on your screen right here, which makes absolutely no sense if you know anything about astrophysics. A black hole is a collapsed star, and that would have to be the distance a black hole would have to be away from Earth would be basically the Earth's distance from the sun. So if the sun became a black hole, it wouldn't its mass doesn't change, so our orbit would still be the same, but we'd lose all our light. No, in this game, the black hole is actually in the atmosphere of Earth, and it's sucking things into it. If a black hole was that close to Earth, it would suck in all of Earth basically immediately. Yeah. So they have no concept of like how actual like physics works. So it is just ridiculous and makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. So this is like the epitome of play the game for the gameplay, because the story makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. The gameplay is actually pretty fun. So you have probably about 5 or 6 different guns. You have like an assault rifle, you have like a shotgun, you have a sniper rifle, you have a pistol, and I think that's it. I think you have these 4 guns, but each gun has your primary ammo, and each gun has like a secondary ammo. and like the pistol, its secondary function is a grenade launcher, and the assault rifle here, its secondary function is like tracer rounds, so you don't have to actually have your aim perfectly. Is if you're close, the bullets will like curve towards the enemy you're shooting at. The sniper rifle, its secondary function is, instead of just shooting sniper bullets, it shoots like sticky grenades, and they stick to the enemy and then they detonate. And the shotgun, its secondary function is basically like the dragon's breath ammo from that scene from John Wick 4, where you're just shooting fire essentially. So the guns are pretty cool. The gun play is actually pretty good. You have a sword on your back that you can use at any time. So you can also engage in melee combat, and as you upgrade your weapons, so that's the shotgun she just picked up right there, because you're playing as a woman. I thought her name was Sheila, but it's actually the E and the I are switched, so it's actually Shelia or Shella or
Shelley Duvall.
It's Shelia, Shelia, I think is how it's spelled. So it's Shelia. They say it in the cutscenes a bunch of times, but I went into it thinking her name was Sheila, because I just glanced at it. I'm like, oh, Sheila, and they're like, Shelia. Oh, right there, you can see it on screen in the subtitles. It's Shelia. But yeah, so you're going through these combat encounters. Sometimes you're fighting just these regular soldiers, and then other times these like Chinese like terracotta soldier monsters show up, like what's happening right here. All the modern day soldiers disappeared, and now you're fighting on the ancient soldiers for reasons unknown that are never explained. Now you're fighting dudes that have like swords and shields, and they have swords that can throw fire. And so, like I said, you can use your guns at any time. You can use your sword at any time. You can upgrade all of your abilities as well. You find items scattered around the map, and you use those as your currency to upgrade your moves and your abilities. And so one of the abilities you gain is your sword shoots like a beam, so you can actually hit people at range with your sword. Probably one of the best things about the combat, and the game doesn't even tell you this, you have to notice it yourself, is that if you get a perfect parry, just like in Hellblade, and most games that have like a parry mechanic, there's a block button, but if you get the timing right, you'll get a parry, and it'll throw your enemy's balance off and give you an opportunity to counter attack essentially. What the game doesn't tell you though is that if you get a perfect parry, it automatically refills your ammo as well. So if you are, and because I noticed that without reloading, I had like your shotgun, you have 20 rounds in your shotgun before you have to reload. And fighting some of the big bosses, like I'm shooting and I do a parry, and then I'm able to shoot again without having to reload. So I was like paying more and more attention to it. And it's not like it reloads for you and takes from your reserve. It actually adds ammo back into your mag, so you can keep shooting without having to reload, and you're not using any ammo. So ammo typically isn't an issue for the game anyway, because there's ammo basically littered around all over the place. But one of the best things to do is like when you're fighting one of these big bosses, is use your shotgun, because it does the most damage, and get it down to like 1 or 2 shots left. Then stop shooting, because the reload animation takes forever. Let them swing at you, do a perfect parry, so it'll refill your ammo, and then just go back to shooting a whole bunch. So that's like the best way to get through some of the bosses. But you also have a grapple that the only thing that is for traversal. There's points that you can grapple to get you from one area to the other. It doesn't have any, you can't use it in combat to grapple anything. But yeah, so you're just going through these. Oh, there's that right there is a reliquary. Those are the items that you pick up, and you spend those to upgrade your abilities in the store, essentially. There's no actual store you go to. You just pause the game at any time, and you spend your reliquaries to upgrade your equipment. And so as for the achievements for the game, there's an achievement basically for beating each chapter, and then there is an achievement for maxing out. I don't know why, because there's like 3 tabs of things that you can upgrade, but for leveling up your equipment, there's only 2 achievements, and it's for 2 specific abilities. So I don't know why there was an achievement for those 2 abilities specifically and not any of the others. And then there's an achievement for getting there's like a silver tier and a gold tier for getting a certain number of kills with each weapon. It was like get 50 kills with this weapon and then 100 kills with this weapon. Or there was another gun that was like get 75 kills with this weapon and then 150 kills with this weapon. So it just depended on weapon by weapon. And even through, because the game is so short, after you've beaten it, you probably haven't gotten all those maxed out. So I basically had to go and grind out some of those kills after I beat the game. It's pretty simple and pretty quick to get those. But the last 2 achievements there is an achievement for beating it on the second hardest difficulty, and then for the hardest difficulty. And the hardest difficulty is locked until you beat it on the second hardest difficulty. So you do have, but fortunately, I don't, a failure in programming, but you don't actually have to beat the entire game on the hardest difficulty. You only have to beat the very last level on the hardest difficulty. And basically the last level there's a couple of very short combat encounters, but the majority of the final level is just the final boss fight. So it took me a number of times to beat the final. Actually, the final boss is like a 3-phase fight. And it did take me on the hardest difficulty. It took me a number of tries to beat it because he is pretty difficult on the final difficulty. But I don't think I ever died on the lower difficulties. So it's not a terribly difficult game because your health is kind of like Call of Duty, where after you take damage, if you just don't take damage for a few seconds, your health will start refilling. So it's pretty difficult to get killed. For the most part, except for in some of the boss combat encounters. But yeah, the gunplay is pretty good. It's pretty fun to hack people up with your sword. The perfect parry feels great when you nail that. But yeah, it's a very short game, and it's just fun excuse to blow people to smithereens with your guns and your swords. It just, as I said, the game makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Why are you fighting these like Chinese soldier demons, and why is there a black hole in the sky that's not immediately enveloping the entire planet and destroying all of humanity and the planet? Why are you in the spaceship that goes in hyperspace, but yet you're still on Earth, and then all of a sudden the ship is destroyed and you're ejecting? Game makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, but it's pretty fun, and like I said, it's pretty short. So if this looks interesting to you at all, I would recommend it. It's worth it, and like I said, because it is a short game, it's a pretty cheap game as well, and go $15. That's just on Xbox. It may be cheaper than that on Steam, assuming that it is on Steam. I haven't checked.
It is on Steam.
So yeah, it's fun. Makes no sense, but it's not a bad first-person shooter. It doesn't overstay its welcome.
Yeah, I never heard anything good about this game, to be honest with you.
Did you ever hear anything bad about it, or just hadn't really heard anything about it either way?
I just heard it was not good, not worth your money, super cheap, super short. My infamous Ching Chong slop comes into play here.
It's definitely that.
Yes. Never heard a good word about it, so I have not played it.
It's not bad, but it's not great. Not anything to write home about.
But yeah, overall, pretty interesting. It looks nice. But that's all.
It's not a bad looking game. It's just, given that it was almost like the poster child for the Series X, it's like I expect it to look better than this.
Yeah. All right. Cool. No closing thoughts. We're good to go then.
Yeah, I think that covers it. Yeah, it was not a difficult completion with except for the final boss is really big. He's huge. And one last quick thing is the final boss was like a ripoff of Volf from Ninja Gaiden 2. He looks just like him, and he's this giant, like 6-armed, like he's like a Chinese version of Volf from Ninja Gaiden 2, and he's just huge. And I was like, this reminds me of Ninja Gaiden 2. It's just now I have guns.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll continue to train here, and we're going to go straight into Final Fantasy II, which was the second game I beat this year. Now, this one was a very interesting improvement, I would say, on the Final Fantasy formula. So this one actually had multiple ways to fight. Instead of just one weapon, you can actually have a weapon in your left hand, a weapon in your right hand. Every character can learn, not every spell, but certain spells they can pick up as well. And this one also had a actual more in-depth story. So basically, the overall plot is that there's a war going on in the world with a evil emperor, and he's oppressing the world. And you basically are part of the rebels, and you play as basically these three people right here. Furion, I think that's how you say his name. Maria and Guy, and then there's a third
Guy.
and then there's a fourth guy, Guy. Like I guess that's how the French say it. Is Guy, but it's more fun to say Guy because it's like here's the guy. And Guy, let me be honest with you, Guy here kind of comes across as like he's on the spectrum sometimes with how he talks in this game. So he's like, me hit stuff good. And it's like, there you go, Guy. And he's more of he's like the big beefy tank guy, at least for what I've noticed, because he had the most HP out of all my characters when all of a said and done. But Maria, she can be more of the spellcaster or bow and arrow wielder, which that is another new weapon they added to this game was bows and arrows like that too, which I did think was cool. And they had formations, so you can have a front formation and a back formation, so you have front line and back line. So that was pretty interesting as well. But everything in this game is based off of leveling up however many times you do certain actions. So if you want to level up your sword, you got to level up your sword. You got to level up your right hand. You got to level up your left hand. You got to level up your club, your magic. Your magic levels up with however many times you use it. Your defense levels up if you get hit by magic and stuff. It is a very weird combat system. I will say that in terms of just nothing seemed to make sense to me about how anything worked. But it just, I was like, I guess level bar keep going up, and that's all we got to do, you know? But like I said, the storyline in this game, a lot more in-depth than the previous game. Instead of it just like big bad go area here, there, and everywhere. This game gives you a revolving cast of fourth members. So you never have a consistent fourth member at all.
Okay, because I was just going to ask you, like, I see that there's 3 right now, but
Yeah.
So you always have like the 3 that you pick, but then the 4th one is changing throughout the game?
Yeah, so depending on where you're at in the mission, you'll get more of a fill-in character that fills specific plot points. So there's Scott, there's Yosef, there's I forget how to say this guy's name, but he's a mage. He's like the the court mage in this game. Then there's I think his name is Richard, and he's a wyvern rider.
Okay.
And then the last guy you get is I won't spoil that one because that one's in spoiler territory.
Okay.
But let's just say it's a pretty interesting one. But basically, everywhere you're going, you're trying to unlock certain things or get certain items to help the rebellion. And I will say this. Very touching, a lot of these characters, because there's a lot of people that die in this game. So if there's some characters that you're attached to, don't get too attached to them. They're going to die. But, and that's also kind of why the rotating character cast is why it is, for story reasons, too. So these 3 are like your main hero trio. You know, they're going to always be your rocks and your consistent people. And those are the ones that you probably want to super spec. And then your buddies that kind of rotate out, like they'll rotate out and come back, but some of them won't come back. And depending on if you spec them up too much, you're going to want to like try to remove their armor and their weapons if you want to hold on to those. But usually I was like, whatever, this is my throwaway gear. So here you go. You can hold on to my throwaway gear. I did post a little short online too. They actually have more cutscenes in this game than usual, and there's some pretty funny cutscenes to say the least. But overall, it continues that spirit of the original Final Fantasy game, including the world map and all the other features that you had prior in the first game with the remaster and stuff. One thing I will say was the boss fights in this game were a little bit more tough, and they did introduce more of those classic, I wouldn't say classic, but more of the familiar faces that you like in the Final Fantasy. This is the first game where Bahamut comes in too. or which is one of the big bads of Final Fantasy. You got a big crossover with Monster Hunter as well as one of the boss fights.
Okay.
But I will say this: the end game for this game, complete joke. Not tough at all. And the reason why
The
I say
opposite of the first one.
and the reason why I say that is they give you a weapon, and it's called the Blood Sword. And if you get the Blood Sword, you just mop the floor with the end game. It's not even a challenge at all. I hit the final boss. I killed him in 2 rotations.
That seems pretty short.
It was insane. So one took me an hour, the other one took me 2 minutes, and it's all because they give you the weapon called the Blood Sword, and every boss at the end of that game, it starts to become a boss rush at the end of the game, where you refight a lot of the old bosses. They do that in the first game, but in this one they do it a little bit different. But the Blood Sword makes very short work of all those bosses. And it's kind of insulting, to say the very least.
And what does it take to get this blood sword? Is that a difficult quest?
I think you randomly find it just in a treasure chest. I can't remember. I don't even think it's at the end game. I think I found it probably about midway to 2/3 of the way through the game, actually.
So it is possible to miss it.
Yeah, if you're not opening up the chest. But I think it's not impossible to miss it, because I think it's in one of those like very obvious areas where they guide you to find it.
Okay, I was gonna say, so you're very likely to find it. You don't really have to go out of your way that much to find it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But overall, I think I'm starting to get there's a running joke in these games. I'm not a huge Final Fantasy fan, so I never really thought about it, but I'm guessing Sid is always going to be your pilot in these games, it feels like, because the last 2 games, the airship pilot has always been Sid.
Okay.
So I'm like, it's kind of like the Half-Life Barneys. It's just that's what it has in Final Fantasy, is Sid's.
Okay. Yeah, Barney shows up, in Half-Life 1 and 2. I haven't played Alex, so I don't know, but if he shows up in that one.
But overall, like I said, this game is very much more of a continuation of the core gameplay elements, but they tried some new stuff with how they did the leveling up system, how they did the whole party system, how they actually took more interesting choices with the storytelling, and they give you a lot of options to also grind and level up. Like those guards in there, you could actually fight those guards for a lot of XP and stats and boosts and stuff like that too. But I like this one a lot more than the first one on those reasons alone, because this felt overall like an improvement while also keeping it as a more of as well. And I thought they had much better, I guess, overall spread that feels more in line with a more modern RPG, even though it's not a modern RPG, versus the previous game, which I feel like it had more issues, to say the least. Because this one doesn't have that same pool of each level spell you get has different amounts of mana pool from it. But this one went to more of the traditional. It has one giant mana pool, and that's how you do everything in this game, where you use that one pool instead of each spell level has a pool to pull from.
Okay.
But I can't really recommend too much else about this game, other than it's got a really good story. Like I said, I wasn't expecting so many deaths and like not like super heart-wrenching moments, but because it's a little 2D one, so it doesn't hit you as hard sometimes.
Yeah.
But I did find it funny in this game, where every time someone dies, they just basically become force ghosts. They just disappear into the ether, stuff like that, which I thought was funny.
Yeah, so there's no like body left behind.
There's no body. Literally, the body flashes and then disappears into the great, great beyond. So I was like, that's weird. But I feel like this game was a lot more cinematic for the time frame that it was in, comparatively speaking, too. Versus the first game felt, like I said, more straightforward. It's like we're just running it up the middle, and that's what we're doing. This one is like, no, we're gonna have some trickery. We're gonna put up some different, combos, different ways to fight, different ways for your characters to level up. And when you look at innovation, this was one of the clear-cut examples of taking a game that had like an original premise and then expanding upon and making that more interesting later on down the line. And I think they did a great job at this one in particular. So that's all I got to say about Final Fantasy II. The Pixel remasters so far have all been really good. I haven't been disappointed yet.
So I'm assuming this was your first time playing Final Fantasy II as well, right?
Yeah, I've played 6 a little bit when I was a kid, 7 a little bit as a kid. I did do the remasters, and then I mostly watched my buddy play 10, and I played 10 too.
Okay. So yeah, not a whole lot of background in the franchise.
Yeah,
I'm still a lot more than me.
Yeah, I'm doing a little bit more with what constitutes as trying to get my JRPG knowledge up, as I could say.
Oh, I remember. Well, on the topic of which ones you played, so you said you played some of 7. I saw an article yesterday or the day before that the Xbox version, or I think they added this to all versions of the Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, but they basically added some of those like quality of life features from that you're mentioning on 1, which I don't know if you mentioned it on 2, but you can basically speed up your XP progression.
Yeah,
and it was talking about like how it turns like a 90-hour game into like a 20-hour game.
Yeah, I think they added a babby mode, as they would say.
Yeah. So if I end up playing Final Fantasy VII, which is a big if, I won't. I don't know if it has like a scale or whether it's just like a yes or no. I'd probably increase my XP gain a little bit, but not like massively that it just like breaks the game.
Yeah, I think I would just say you have nothing to prove to anyone. You could just play it on easy mode and just kind of get through the game,
Yeah. Yeah, it's not multiplayer, so but that's a big if I ever end up playing it.
Yeah, I recommend it. They're pretty good.
But yeah, the remake, if I do play a Final Fantasy game, the remake's probably the one I'll play. So.
All right, let's go to your next one then there, Mr. Neo.
All right, so my next one is I haven't quite finished it yet. I have beaten the game, but I have not got all the achievements yet. And that is the reason I've had this. I've owned this game for a while. I ended up with it through Games with Gold, and I dived it back in my dive in May. But I've been looking forward to it because it's a stealth game, and I love me my stealth games. And that is Aragami. So what I mentioned this on Party Chat last night. I think this game was originally released just as Aragami, and then there was a DLC for it. And then they re-released it as Aragami Shadow Edition, and it includes the DLC because I've beaten the base, what feels like the base game, but there's this second like campaign of 4 levels called the Nightfall levels or the Nightfall campaign. And you play as entirely separate characters, which I think is actually a prequel to the game. So that's what I'm working on right now. I've got all of the achievements for the base game, and I'm working through the DLC campaign. I've beaten the first level, but I still have 3 more. I've taken a slight break on it because, as I mentioned, I am working on getting a couple more puzzle games knocked out before next week's top 5, and then I'll go back and finish this off. But overall, it's a good stealth game. I'm not enjoying it as much as I was anticipating. But it's a good stealth game. It reminds me very much of like Splinter Cell without the guns, or if it was some of another thing you could kind of relate it to would be the Arkham games, but just the Predator challenges. There's no combat in the game because basically as soon as you get detected, you can escape, but if you get detected, it's better off to just reload your last checkpoint. But you only have to get hit once to die, because basically the plot of the game is at the beginning. There, you saw this like ethereal girl in white, and so she's like the last of her people, and the people that you're killing here are basically bad guys that killed her people, and she's the last one. She's still alive, like in prison or something, and her last hope for survival is she does some ritual that summons you, and you're basically the shadow spirit, and you kind of work for her essentially to wipe out these bad guys and get revenge for her. So you're basically this vengeful shadow spirit. So all these enemies, they have swords that shoot beams of light, and if you get hit by a single beam of light, you die and it automatically reloads your last checkpoint. And so there are, I want to say, 14 chapters, and depending on how you play really determines how long this game is. So the true achievement 100, the completion estimate is 15 to 20 hours. I'm at 23 hours, and I still have 3 of the DLC levels left to go. So there's achievements for basically beating each chapter, and then each time you beat a level, you get ranked on 3 categories, or it gives you a score at the end, and it gives you like a ranking of like D, C, B, A, and S. Those rankings are completely irrelevant. There's no achievements tied to how what your rank was, fortunately. So you don't have to go and beat the game and get S ranks on every level. Although I think there is one achievement for getting an S rank just once, which isn't very difficult. But there are 3 medals that you can get for each level. And I forget what they're called. It's like, there's some Japanese name. But basically what they are is that you'll get a medal at the end of the level if you beat the level without killing anyone. I think that one's called the Yumi medal. There's a medal for if you kill everyone in the level. So that you cannot get both of those in one playthrough of the level. So you have to obviously do 2 playthroughs of the level in order to get both of those. Because there is an achievement at the end of the game for completing all the levels in the game and getting all 3 of the medals. And then there's there's one medal on each level for beating it without getting detected. So basically you can do 2 of those together, either, but you can't do the kill everyone and kill no one achievement together, obviously. But you could either do what I did is my first playthrough. I went through and killed everyone and didn't get detected. Although there were a couple of missions where I got detected, so I had to run through those levels again. Fortunately, I didn't have to kill everyone because I already did that. I just had to get through the level undetected. But I had to do a second playthrough anyways because I had to go through all the levels and beat them without killing anyone. But like I said, so I did the kill everyone and not get detected achievements medals first. And those can take a really long time. You've got to be really methodical. You got to sneak around. And if you get detected, you have to reload your checkpoint. Fortunately, you can reload your checkpoint and you'll regain your undetected status. The thing is that the game doesn't tell you if you've been detected or not. You just got to pay attention to it because the enemies, when you become detected, will have an exclamation mark will appear over their head. So you got to pay attention to that because sometimes you may kill an enemy, but he may detect you right before you finish the animation. So you got to be really careful with that. And if you aren't careful with it, you don't know until the end of the level, and it shows you whether you got the medal or not. So you really want to take your time and be careful. And so the first playthrough some of these levels took like an hour or longer because you got to go slow and very methodical, and your character moves really, really slow at the base speed. The sprint speed is not bad, but you basically don't want to use sprints until you've wiped everyone out because that will attract attention to you. The other thing that is, so the basic movement speed is probably my biggest issue with the game because you just walk so darn slow. But one of the things that's kind of the counter to that is the enemy's like vision cone is like awful. So unless you're standing in direct light, like standing next to the in the cutscene you're seeing right here, there's that light behind you. Unless you're standing like right next to it, you can be standing super close to enemies and they won't detect you, especially if you're in the shadow. So this is another game that you have a diegetic interface. There's no HUD. And all of your information is basically told to you on your character by your cape. So when you are in the shadows, you're almost invisible. Enemies have to be super close to you in order for them to see you. When you're not in the shadows, they'll see you easier, But the other thing is about your cape is when you're in the shadows, you'll see it lightens up essentially, and that's basically like your shadow gauge because your abilities cost your shadow, and that's basically your meter. So right now you're standing in the light, and so you're easier to detect, but your gauge isn't decreasing. When you're standing next to bright sources of light, the light on your cape will actually decrease. Then you have to get back into the shadows in order for it to regain, in order for you to use some of your shadow abilities. This is another game that would qualify as having a diegetic interface. So, like I said, the enemies, they have very terrible vision when it comes to seeing you, especially if you're in the shadows. However, if you kill an enemy, they see dead bodies very easily, and if they find a dead body and you don't kill them before they get close enough to it, then they'll alert everyone to your presence, and then you'll basically lose the chance for that level to get that undetected medal. So you have to reload your checkpoint or play through the game, play through the level again. But there are also a number of abilities that you get. Like one is a kunai, where you can kill an enemy from ranged, which comes in really handy. Another one is an ability to go invisible for about 5 to 10 seconds. And each ability also has a you kind of like in Bright Memory, where you can pause it at any time and spend your upgrade points. You can do that here. You don't have to go to like a certain vendor or anything. You just pause it at any time and spend your upgrade points. And each ability costs some to unlock, and then it has a second tier that you can upgrade it to a better ability. So like the invisibility one will make you invisible, but if you're running, enemies will still hear you. But when you upgrade it, you can be running around and enemies can't hear you either. So it's basically like a get out of jail free card. But another thing about your HUD essentially on your cape here is in the center there below that, or where that big circle is in the middle of his cape. Because this is only like the first level where you don't have any of the abilities unlocked yet. But once you've unlocked some of the abilities, whatever one you have currently selected shows up in that circle. And that's another thing, is the game doesn't do a great job of telling you exactly how this works. So once you have multiple abilities, you have to hold B and the game pauses and it comes up with a wheel, and you have to highlight the ability that you want to have selected. And then the symbol for that ability will show up on that big circle on your cape. And then right below it, you'll see kind of like a little narrow vertical spot, and you have basically 2 charges essentially of each of your abilities. This is another thing the game doesn't do a good job of telling you. And there'll be 2 little icons in that little vertical empty space on his cape. And if you have both of them available, you'll see two little blue icons. If you use one, you only have one. And then if you use both of them, it'll be blank like it is right now. And the thing is that each of your abilities have 2 charges. So it's not like you have 2 charges across all your abilities. Each ability has 2 charges. So you can use that ability twice, then switch to another one and use that one twice. And then, as I mentioned, this is kind of similar to the Arkham Predators in that there's kind of sections of each level. So it's kind of like moving between different Predator challenges in Arkham, so where this area is kind of secluded from this area and enemies don't go back and forth between them. Only you do. So you can kind of clear out one area at a time, then move on to the next. And then once you've cleared an area, if you discover you missed something, you can go back to that area and you don't have to worry about being detected, because their detection range is not very good. As for the abilities, the one that I wish I had known about sooner and is like a total game changer, because as I said, each of your abilities has 2 uses essentially. And between certain times between sections, you'll find these little like shrines, and you'll open it up and it'll refill all of your charges. So if I want to say that there's like 6 different abilities. So you basically can use 12 abilities before you're all out. And then if you use one of these shrines, it'll refill all 12 of them instantly. And that's the only way at the beginning to refill your abilities. But there is an ability in the game that I wish I'd realized this sooner. that once you upgrade to it, so this is the one I forget what it's called, but this is the one that I recommend getting first and foremost right away because it's the biggest game changer of the game, is when you walk up to an enemy, you have the ability to hit X to kill them. As you see, they'll assassinate them, stab them, whatever. There is, once you get this upgrade ability, you get the ability to hold X, and so you got to get really close to them and stay there for a second or two and hold X, and the bar fills up. Once the bar fills up, then this like shadow dragon comes out of the ground and just pulls them down into the ground and like envelops them essentially. So there's a twofold benefit from that, because like I said earlier, when you kill enemies, their body will lay there. Oh, right here. So this is telling you about the charges, and they show up on your cape. It just doesn't, it's not entirely clear about how many uses you have. I thought you had 2 total, but no, you have 2 on each of your abilities. But anyways, the other way to refill your charges is this ability that you hold X and this shadow dragon comes out of the ground and disappears them. So there's no body left over, because when you normally kill an enemy, there's a body there. There is another ability that you can get where once you kill someone, you can stand over their corpse and hold A, and then the shadows will envelop the body and it'll disappear, so it can't be discovered. But once you get this the other upgrade where the shadow dragon comes up and pulls them down, it disappears their body instantly, so you don't have to hold A to disappear the corpse. But the better benefit is that not only does it disappear their body instantly, it also refills the one charge of whatever ability you have equipped. So if you use one of your abilities, then if you just go do this type of kill to an enemy, it'll refill your charge. So you basically can keep refilling your charges. So if you play this one, I'd say go get that ability as soon as possible, and it makes the game way more enjoyable. There's the shrine right there. So that little shrine, the red shrine there to the right, those are the shrines that will refill all of your charges. But once you have the ability that you can refill them yourself by using one of those assassination kills, it makes it so much easier. So yeah, it's a stealth game. It has crossplay, so I have not played it in co-op. You can play the entire game, and I believe both Aragamis 1 and 2 are entirely playable in 2-player co-op, and both of them have crossplay, so you can play this with people on other platforms. And that would make it a lot more enjoyable, because some of this area right here that you're looking at, this is on level 2, I want to say, and this took me so many, I probably spent like 2 hours on this section, because there's so many enemies in this section, and it makes it really easy to get detected. And there's another section just on the other side of the water there, which is a whole nother section. And you can actually go through that gate there on the right and basically skip that area, but I didn't realize it. I just thought that's the way you're supposed to go. And so I was basically having to do both of these areas back to back without getting detected. I didn't realize you're supposed to go through the front door essentially, and you get a checkpoint. So you actually go through one section and then the other. I didn't realize that. So I was having to clear both of these areas on a single checkpoint. If I got detected, I'd do the whole freaking thing over again. So if you're not going for killing everyone, you can just go through that gate and then get to the end of that area and then book it on the way back. But if you are going for everyone, you actually don't want to go through this gate right here on the left. You want to go through the other entrance, because that's where you get the checkpoint, so you don't have to do both sections back to back.
Right.
But as I was saying about the medals, so I played through getting the kill everyone medal and the not detected medal, and those are what's going to take a majority of the time. And once I had all of those, I had to do another playthrough of all the levels of just not getting detected, and that I flew through that. So like I said, some of these levels took me like an hour to do, where I had to kill everyone without getting detected. I think the longest time I spent on any level on the just going through the level and not getting detected for not killing anyone was, most of my average level times were like less than 10 minutes. I think the longest level was like 15 minutes. So once you've already gotten the kill everyone medal and not get detected medal, going through it without killing everyone is super easy, because you can just basically like teleport around, because you have like this shadow teleport ability. So that second playthrough was like a breeze. So I've beaten the base game. I've gotten all 3 of those medals on all on all levels. I've just barely started the DLC, so I've beaten the first level with the not detected and kill everyone medal, but I will have to go through and do that level again without killing anyone, and then same for the levels 2, 3, and 4 of the DLC, which I haven't even played yet. So I put that on the back burner for now, but I will be going back to it and completing it shortly. And one last thing is a bit of a spoiler. I did talk about this on Party Chat last night because this game was an inspiration for one of our Party Chat topics last night, where games where you play as the bad guy. So you're not exactly a bad guy, but you find out that this girl who summoned you that we're looking at here, she is actually a bad guy, and you're doing her dirty work without realizing. You find out at the end of the game that you basically have been the bad guy because you're working for the bad guy. You just didn't realize it. But once you realize that you've been working for the bad guy, she is the final boss of the game, and it's basically like a puzzle. Almost like a puzzle boss, because like I said, there's no actual combat. There are a couple segments in the game where there is combat, but it's all a scripted cutscene because, like I said, there, as soon as you get detected, you get hit and you die. So all the actual combat is in cutscenes, but the final boss there is basically like a puzzle stealth boss fight. So it's a good puzzle game. A couple things that I wish I had known a little bit sooner would have increased my enjoyment of the game. One other thing I want to mention is I took a clip of this game because this is not Series X enhanced or anything. This is an original Xbox One game. So because of that, I had it installed on my USB 3 external hard drive, because that's where I put all my games that are not optimized for Series X, because you can play them off your hard drive, whereas like Series X games, has to be installed on the internal or on one of those special storage cards. And I'd played through, I don't know, like a quarter of this game, and the performance on this game was god awful. The game would like not freeze like and crash, but it would like hang up in the middle of cutscenes, and like, or as in the middle of like stalking someone, the game would like freeze. The game would keep going, but I couldn't see what was going on, and then the game would like catch up with itself, and then I would already be detected. So it was incredibly frustrating. There were times where I came back and the camera's just spinning around my character like crazy fast. It's like gonna give me a headache. I took some clips of it because it was just atrocious. Do not play this game on an external drive. After I realized what was going on, I moved it to my internal drive, and then it ran buttery smooth, and I had no more performance issues. So despite being able to run on an external drive, do not play this game on the external drive. Move it to your internal, because it runs like trash on an external drive. Okay. So I will be getting to once I beat this game, I am going to dabble in Aragami 2 and see if I like it a little bit better than this one. And if I do, then I'll probably play through that very soon. But if I'll play like through the first level, and if it's like exactly the same as this one, I'll probably put it off and get back to it later. So it's not a bad game. It's just I didn't enjoy it as much as I had hoped. I wouldn't say I'm dreading finishing off those last couple levels, but I'm not exactly looking forward to it either. It's a decent game. It's just didn't quite scratch the right itch as a stealth game for me.
All right, fair enough. Look pretty cool from everything I'm seeing. Maybe I got to give these games a playthrough myself.
I know Canadian and I have been talking about it since, like I said, it's crossplay. I don't know what he's got on. He's been meaning to play it, but it would be interesting to play it in co-op. So Canadian, if you're still there, let me know. We'll have to play it in co-op sometime and see how it is. And maybe it's a lot more fun. Maybe it's more frustrating. I don't know, but I'd love to give it a shot sometime and try the co-op mode.
All right, cool. All right, we're going to move on to one of my last games. This one, because of the recent developer direct that Xbox had last week, I've been wanting to go back and play a little bit, so I have, and that is Forza Horizon 5. And I like these Forza Horizon games. They're the only racing games that I still play to this date that I do enjoy. I'm not really against racing games, but kind of like every sports game, they're a very big time commitment and a time sink. And this game and these Forza games are no different, especially with how much content that they put into this game. It's wild. I haven't played this game in probably about a year or two. Last time I checked, I think 2014 was the last time I played it. So I was like, oh, well, let's see what some updates are on here. So they got all the DLCs that they've added on here, the Hot Wheels, Big Track, the outdoor rally stuff. And like I said, they keep making these games look amazing. The performance in these games is amazing. The cars look great. They're awesome. They're fun. The soundtrack is always really good and really fun. It does give you that, me and my wife, we used to go to like these music festivals and everything like that. And it does give you that vibe of when you're in the car, you're listening to the old radio stations that Sirius XM has. I think it's like BPM and something else like that, where they have like the whole vibe where they will play live EDM concerts. And it gave me a lot of those nostalgic memories of just driving around my old Mitsubishi Eclipse as a man in my 20s, blasting my BPM.
Oh,
and
you had
everything.
the Eclipse?
Yeah, I had. I think it was the last Eclipse. It was like the last Eclipse model.
That car got very popular because of Fast and Furious.
Yeah. So that was my first brand new car I owned, was an Eclipse. And I learned a lot about being a car owner from being that car. That car sucked to have maintenance on. Everything was so expensive, and I was making not that much money, but I love that car. Overall, though, they really do an amazing job with these games, because it doesn't feel like your stereotypical racing game. It's not a Forza Motorsport. It's not a Gran Turismo. You're not overly concerned with being a gearhead. These Forza games are the best production for any type of racing game, I think, out there. You're doing all these wacky, crazy challenges and stunts and everything like that. You have your dirt racing. You have your street racing. You have your giant, marathon racing. You have rally racing, where a guy's in a helicopter going, oh, make a left, sharp turn, go down slow, something like that. They have...
Yeah, I played Dirt way back, and you have a co-pilot that's like 50 yards ahead, right 3, 100 yards, left 2. So
yeah,
I know what you're talking about.
So it's just a lot of fun stuff that they put in there. So many cars. I'm not an over-the-top gearhead. I couldn't tell you about that. I do enjoy my cars and everything like that. Like, oh, that car looks nice, and that's basically where I'm at with that. But it's so nice to have like a little history lesson too, because they have, as you see on the screen, barn finds, and they have the ability to go drive into the middle of these out of nowhere locations to find a old car to restore, and they give you a little history lesson about each of these cars too, and I think that's pretty cool. I really do enjoy that there's life in this game, so you make different friends and different people there, and some of them are DJs, some of them are archaeologists, some of them are just the overall organizers of these tournaments and stuff like that. And I'm really just excited about the new one that's coming out in Japan. There's nothing really too much to say about this game in terms of overall deep thought, other than these games are beautiful, the cars are great, the racing is solid, they have really hardcore sim elements if you want to get into it, or if you're a casual like me and you just want to explore Mexico. And there you have a lot of great biome diversity. So, you could go through the whole rainforest, then you're in the Mexican desert, then you're racing along the coastlines on the Gulf or Baja, whatever side. They don't really explain. You're driving through ancient Aztec ruins and stuff like that. And it's just very fun, the different levels of challenges they throw your way. You got to drive around a giant float that has this crazy piñata on it, and you got to jump off a giant cliff. You got to race trains, airplanes. One of them is like a cargo plane, so you got to race against a cargo plane and stuff like that too.
That's cool.
They're all spectacles, and this goes back to the other Forza Horizon games too, where one mission is that you have to take on the Pelican from Halo and a Warthog. There's another one that lets you go around.
Do you remember which Forza that was in? Because I've seen that, but I
think it's 4.
Four?
4 off the top of my head. And they actually got, Cortana's voice actress to do the lines and stuff like that. Yeah. And overall, it's just really, really good. You know, I think in some of them, I can't remember all of them off the top of my head because it's been a while. But they just have all these crazy tricks and challenges. It reminds me a lot of Need for Speed Underground meets an open world element meets like Forza. And you used to be a big Forza guy, so I really tell you should play these games, man. You would love them.
I know I would enjoy them. Yes.
So
I just, you know, you know what happened and why I swore off Forza games. I got hurt on a deep level by them, but I know I would enjoy the Horizon games.
Yeah, these games are great. They have a lot of multiplayer stuff they could do, track editors, buy cribs and stuff. They keep getting more and more interesting, unique, and expansive. And if you haven't played a Forza game, sadly they do get delisted after a while.
Yeah, that's so frustrating. It's like most of the previous games, if you can even, you can't buy them digitally, you can only buy them physically, and all of, if not all of the DLC has been delisted. It's like,
yeah,
licensing sucks. It's like, why isn't it licensed in perpetuity so that people can buy the DLC forever?
Right.
That's my biggest issues with digital only crap.
I think the biggest problem is just the car licenses. That's really what it is. It's too much money to maintain some of them.
That's the thing, is it should be, hey, we're putting the car in this game. The license lasts for as long as this game is available. It shouldn't be like, oh no, we're only going to have this car for 4 years, even though the game will last forever. It's like, why does that happen?
Right.
That shouldn't be a thing. That drives me nuts.
My wife was grabbing her dog. That's why you heard him. Right. He's got a little. His skin's a little sensitive, so he's been scratching too much. That's why. But yeah,
they are long games. I pulled up Forza Horizon 5. The estimated completion is about 150 hours. That's probably on the low end.
There's a lot to do. Like I said, there's dirt races, there's drag races, there's rally races, there's street races, there's special events, there's specialty races.
It even has the battle royale genre tag. It's like,
yes.
Wait, what?
Yeah, they added a eliminator mode too and everything in this game.
I've heard that's a pretty popular one, right?
Yeah. This is, like I said, if you are looking for a racing game, even if you're a filthy casual like me, 100%, you need to check out the Forza Horizon thing. And now it's basically on everything, so you have no really other excuse to stop yourself. Go on, get it, get at it.
And have you played it online against other people, or do you mainly just stick to solo?
I stick to solo. I'm not that much of a gearhead. I'm a filthy casual.
Yeah, same. That Forza 2 and 3, those are the only achievements I don't have, are the ones for playing online. Fortunately, there's only like 1 or 2 achievements, but I don't know if I ever even played online once, so I don't have those ones, because you got to grind out like a ton of credits in just the online multiplayer. I'm like, nah, I'm good just playing against the CPUs.
Exactly. All right, that's all I have to say about it. Neo, how about you? You have any thoughts?
All right. Yeah, I basically swore off Forza games because they hurt me deeply, but I know I would really enjoy this. I played the Forza Motorsport games. The last one I played was 3, but so Horizon didn't even exist yet. But I do know I would really enjoy the Horizon games if I hadn't gone through that traumatic experience with Forza 3.
Get over it. Join us.
I had my I swore it off so much that I even gave away my steering wheels, because this is one of those games like you need to play with a steering wheel. If you're playing it with a controller, you're not playing it right. And playing the Forza Motorsport games, at least with the steering wheel, actually had a real world tangible benefit because it made me a better driver. And there have been multiple situations where I was able to avoid a car accident because I knew exactly how to handle my car in the situation I was in, because of my experience with Forza Motorsport.
All right, right on. All right, Neil, what's your next game?
So, yeah, if you don't have a driver's license yet, I would recommend getting good at Forza, because it will make you a better driver. So, all right. So my next game on the agenda is the one that I've been playing on stream for the last, I think I started about the beginning of the month. So, for Metroidvania Monday. and that is a sequel to what is in my top 5 Metroidvanias. That Journey to the Savage Planet. I love that game so much, and so I finally got around to playing Revenge of the Savage Planet, the sequel to it. And it's a surprise that this game even exists, because the studio that made, I don't know all the behind the scenes lore essentially of what happened, but the studio that made Journey to the Savage Planet got shut down or bought out or something. So it was basically, no hope that there was going to be another game in this franchise. Then lo and behold, it would have been late 2024. They're like, hey, yeah, we're coming out with another one. There's going to be Revenge of the Savage Planet. And I was stoked. Like, it was one of those ones like most people like probably didn't even recognize the announcement, because it's very like kind of a niche game that not a lot of people know about. And I loved the first one so much. So I was stoked when it got announced. So this game came out in, I want to say, March of last year. So it's coming up on being out for a year, but I didn't get around to playing it last year, May of last year. So it's, getting close to a year. But yeah, it's funny because the last game I was playing for Metroidvania Monday, which would have been Metroid Prime 4, Nerd Takes was in chat one night, and he's like, hey, have you played Revenge of the Savage Planet yet? And I was like, no, I haven't played it yet, but I'm looking forward to playing it at some point. And then I ended up playing it as my next Metroidvania Monday. And it was bugging me because there was a couple weeks where I'm like, there was someone who was asking me about it. And I asking a bunch of people, I'm like, hey, were you the person? Were you the person? I couldn't remember who it was that asked me about it. And then Nerd Takes showed up one night, and I'm like, it was Nerd Takes that was asking me about it. So he was partially, semi-tangentially the reason that I ended up bumping this up the list and playing it on Metroidvania Monday as soon as I did. But so I finished this just this last Monday, a couple days ago. I beat the story on stream. After I beat the story, I finished getting the rest of the achievements, which were just for mopping up some of the items that I missed. I probably finished the game with about like 90% completion, so I didn't have a whole lot left, but I did wrap up getting the rest of the stuff off stream. But I do now have 100% of the achievements in the game. And going into it, when they announced it, my big hesitation with the game was because the first one is a first-person shooter, and one of the reasons why I'm such a huge fan of Journey to the Savage Planet is since 2007, that was when Metroid Prime 3 came out. We got Metroid Prime 4 finally just November of last year. But before Metroid Prime 4 came out, there have been no games that are like Metroid Prime, where it's a first-person shooter Metroidvania. That's a pretty good-looking game. Other than Journey to the Savage Planet is literally the closest thing we've gotten to Metroid Prime since 2007. I don't know why we're not flooded with Metroid Prime clones. I wish we had more. But anyways, being that Metroid Prime is one of my favorite games of all time, and Journey to the Savage Planet is the closest thing we've gotten to Metroid Prime, it was one of the reasons why I love the game so much. So, but all that to say is the first game was a first-person game. This one is a third-person game, and there is no option to switch to a first-person perspective. So that was my biggest hesitation when they announced this game, is that they're switching to a third-person perspective. I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. Having beaten the game now, I think they did a great job, and they are both great. I still haven't decided on which one I like more, but I love them. I can easily say that I love them equally. This game was so much fun. I had a blast playing this game. I actually have 2 stacks of it. So I got all the achievements in the Xbox Series X version. There is also a Windows version, which I'm also playing, and I'm only about halfway through it. But despite having just played through it, I have no problem playing through it again, because this game was just so much fun. It's very humorous. It's very wacky and goofy. They keep the comedy from the first one, because the first one's very wacky like it. But the first one takes place all on one planet that's kind of split into 3 different sections. And this one, you actually travel to 5 different planets in the solar system, and you acquire, you have to beat certain bosses that give you new abilities, which allow you to reach areas that you couldn't reach before. So it absolutely is a Metroidvania. And it has some interesting new abilities that the first one doesn't. And they really expanded on it because this one is a significantly longer game than the first one, because this one also fortunately doesn't have a speedrun achievement like the first one does, but the speedrun achievement for the first one is for like beating the game in 4 hours, which that's actually long. my best time was playing like Aragami. This game, both Journey to the Savage Planet and Revenge of the Savage Planet, can be played entirely in 2-player co-op. So my best time on the first one, I was playing with another person who really knew what they were doing, because I've beaten the first one probably, 15 times or more. We both knew what we were doing. So my best time, I have a screenshot somewhere, but I think it was like an hour 36. So it's, when you're speedrunning, it's very short. And even when I'm not speedrunning and I'm carrying someone through it who doesn't really know what they're doing, I think my longest time was only like 3.5 hours. So it's not a very long game. This one took me like 4 streams at between 4 to 5 hours a stream. So it was like a 25-hour game. So it was a bit longer, and it has some additional abilities. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. So the first one, you work for Kindred, and then at the end of the game, basically you get let go, if I remember correctly, from Kindred. But you get they send you to this planet to explore it. You fulfill your mission, and then you fly back home. But in order to fly back home, you have to find basically fuel in order to fuel your ship so you can make it back home. This one, the Kindred, the company that you worked for, is bought out by another company called Alta Interglobal, and it's led by this really scummy CEO. You've basically been in cryo seat for like 100 years to get to this new planet, and you wake up and things didn't go as well as they were supposed to. So instead of landing on the planet, you come crashing down, and all of your ship's pieces are all over. You have to go and find it and reassemble your ship in order to get back. And you find out that before it took 100 years to get here, and by the time you even got here, like the first video recording on your base when you arrive, because all of your stuff is already here, because they were able to teleport non-living matter. So your base is already here, but they can't teleport living matter, which is why you had to fly in a spaceship. You get here, and the first video message you get is you're fired. So it's like, yeah, we don't need you anymore. So good luck. And so your old boss of Alta or Kindred contacts you, and he's like, he's not happy with them. So throughout this course of the game, he's having you find evidence that will help him build a court case so that he can shut the company down. And there's lots of video interactions with Martin Tweed is the guy who's your boss from the first game, and I forget the name of the boss guy from this game, the new boss of Alta Interglobal. And there's all these fake commercials. There's Martin Tweed right there. There's a bunch of these fake made up commercials that are really goofy. So it's got a great sense of humor. It's very goofy. It's very bright and colorful. It's got, it's got great pacing as well. So that's one of the things that really kills it for me on some Metroidvanias is the upgrade. The speed at which you upgrade your abilities can be too long. I think the speed at which you get your upgrades in this game is perfect. There's a bunch of side quests to do as well that you don't have to do, but it gives you a whole quest log, and you can kind of tackle them in whatever order you want. So, and it always, whatever one you have active, it shows you a marker on the map, so you're never aimlessly wandering around trying to figure out what you're supposed to do. You can go and wander around aimlessly if you want, but it's not one of those games where I don't know where I'm supposed to go or what I'm supposed to do. It will always give you a waypoint. If you want it, you always know where to go and what to do in order to progress the story. If you like the first one, I think you'll like the second one a lot. Oh, Gunther Harrison, that's the guy, the new boss of Alta Interglobal. He's the bad guy, the guy that looks like Megamind. And then Martin Tweed, he pulled a Ben Stiller from Dodgeball, where he in the first game he's all fit, and then this game he got all fat and out of shape. But yeah, it's a great. This one's a third person Metroidvania, and it's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, so I highly recommend it. And like I said, I'm going through it again on the Windows stack to get the 100% on that one as well. And I don't mind it at all, because this is just, as Nerd Takes said in the chat, this game is awesome. It is great. It's a lot of fun. I might like it more than the first game. I'll go ahead and say it. I enjoyed this one even more than the first one, and I love the first one. So they are both great, and I like it a lot. And yeah, Nerd Take says it has a kind of Adult Swim sense of humor. I never had Adult Swim, but it definitely feels like Adult Swim sense of humor. And there are a ton of collectibles, and that's one of the things that I like about Metroidvanias is when you have to just stuff scatter all over the place. And as you progress through the game, you unlock the ability to add it all to your map, so you know exactly how much there is remaining and where exactly they are. You just have to figure out where to go and get them. So there's always basically something to do, and you're never going to be lost and trying to figure out where to go or what to do. And there's until you've got everything in the game, there's like always something that you can be doing, and it's always enjoyable. So I love this game a lot, and it's a very worthy successor to Journey to the Savage Planet.
All right, cool. Neo, why don't you close this out too with your final game, since you're talking about it? This one seems like it's a short one for you.
Okay, yeah, sure thing. So the last game I'm going to talk about is a game that I only did a quick run through of because I didn't do the entire game on stream, but I did finish it on stream like a year ago, back in January when I first played through it. And that is the original Metroid 2, the Game Boy version, because last year I started out, well, actually, I think I started Metroidvania Monday in late 2024. But when I started Metroidvania Monday, I started playing through from the very beginning, and I basically played through the entire Metroid franchise. The only one I didn't do is Metroid Prime Hunters, which and that's also the only one that I haven't actually beaten, because I have it on my DS. It's still the game that's in my DS right there, but I was never able to figure out where to go. But because I'm also doing them for retro achievements, I'm doing it through emulation, and because Metroid Prime Hunters is basically all touchscreen, there's no great way to do it. But when I did Metroidvania Monday, I started with Metroid Zero Mission, which is the definitive way to play the original Metroid, because the original NES Metroid is terrible. And then when I did Metroid 2 on stream, I did AM2R, because at the time there are 3 versions of Metroid 2, and I'd not played any of them. So I started out with AM2R, which I've heard from many people is the best. I've now played the original and AM2R, but I haven't played the 3DS remake because I don't have a 3DS. So I will play it eventually. And then all the other ones are basically, they only have like one version, or the different versions are very similar. But last year, I also, because of our challenge, we get bonus points for playing original versions rather than remakes. As being that Metroid is my second favorite franchise of all time, I owe it to myself to go ahead and play the original Metroid and Metroid 2. So I played original Metroid. I talked about that, I think, on our last episode of Party Chat. That game is awful. Don't play the original. Play the Zero Mission remake. It is fantastic. But like I said, I played AM2R on stream, and that was great because it's basically, and that's a fan-made one, and that's basically if you were to take Super Metroid and rebuild Metroid 2 in it. But because I played the original NES Metroid and then immediately went into Metroid 2, which most people hold Metroid 2 in very low regard, I really enjoyed it because just how much drastically better this game is than the original Metroid. Despite the original being an NES game and this one being a Game Boy game, it is just leagues ahead of the first one. There are a couple things that aren't as good, that maybe they took like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I wrote a really long, in-depth review of Metroid 2 just the other day on Game Shelf. If you want to go check it out, shout out to Game Shelf. But in most regards, this game is just drastically better and addresses almost all of my issues with the first. But I played through it in its entirety last January, and then I just played through it again just this last a week or so ago because, like I said, I'm playing for retro achievements. The only achievement I didn't get on my initial playthrough is the one for beating it in under 3 hours. So I just had to go through and beat it in under 3 hours. And even with doing it in under 3 hours, I still probably had like 95% of the item collection rate. So I got almost everything in the game without really even trying. Probably this is what I was alluding to earlier when you were talking about the final boss of Final Fantasy 1. Through the course of Metroid 2, both my first playthrough and my second playthrough, I think I died maybe once throughout the course of the game, except for the final boss. The final boss is such a massive difficulty spike. Both times I probably, when I first played it, I did that final section of the game on stream. So you can actually go and check out the stream and see how many times I died. I probably died like 10 times on the final boss. It was a drastic difficulty spike compared to the rest of the game, because most of the rest of the Metroid 2 is very easy, except for that final boss. This time, I did know that there is a cheese method, which makes it far easier, but even with the cheese method, it's still pretty difficult, and it still took me about 5 times to beat the final boss, even with the cheese method. So, but yeah, I talked about all my gripes with the first game. This one, if there was 2 main things that make this game just so drastically better than the first one, one is the ability to save your progress, because in the first one there's no save ability. It's a password system, and it has one of the most convoluted, complex password systems of any game. Given that this was on the Game Boy, so you're probably going to be playing it in short bursts, there's actually save stations where you can go and save your progress and pick up from where you left off. Huge improvement over the original. The other one is that my biggest issue with the first one is the health, in that no matter how many energy tanks you have, whenever you die and respawn or restart the game, you always start with 30 health. And there's only 2 ways to refill your health: by random drops from enemies or by getting an energy tank. So if you already have all the energy tanks in the game and you start up the game, the only way to get back to full health is just killing enemies over and over and over and over and over again until you get your full health, which can take like a half an hour. This game, fortunately, they added across the map, there are health stations that fully refill your health, and there are also missile stations which fully refill your missiles, which is very, very important, because the main difference of this game versus the previous one is that one you're just exploring kind of an open world. That's where this one takes a bit of a step back, is the map is very linear, but it's basically can't get lost because of that. So that's a bonus. But the main thing of this one is that you're dropped off on this planet, and you have a counter in the bottom right, which is kind of hard to see right now because of our windows are over it. But in the bottom right, it gives you a counter of how many Metroids are left, and your goal is just to get that to 0. You have to wipe out all the Metroids on the planet, and then the game is over. And there are 4 different types of Metroids, and they get progressively stronger throughout the game. But the thing is that the Metroids will take no damage from your weapons, your primary weapon at all. They only take damage from your missiles. So if you run low on missiles, then you're in the middle of a Metroid fight and you run out, then you just have to leave, go regain your missiles, which is the easiest thing is just go find a missile station and refill your missiles, because the missile drop rate from enemies is pathetic. It's like maybe like 10, maybe even less than 10% of the time when enemies even drop stuff, because sometimes they don't drop anything. But like when they do, most of the time it's health. It's very rare that they actually drop missiles. So if you run out of missiles or run low on missiles, it's better to just go find a missile recharge station and then go back and finish fighting the Metroids that you're working on. So the biggest issue that they didn't address between the first one and this one is that this one, like the first one, does not have a map, but because it is very linear, it's difficult to get lost. But the remakes of both 1 and 2, Zero Mission and AM2R, and the official remake of Metroid 2, Samus Returns on 3DS, those ones do have maps. So, but yeah, I like this game better than most people, because I think it's because most people, like, there was such a drastic time between playing this one or maybe playing newer ones and then going back to this one, and it's a big step down from more newer Metroids. But the fact that I played the original NES one and then immediately went into playing this one, oh my gosh, this one was just light and day and night difference between the original and Metroid 2. So I really like this one. It's still on the lower tier of Metroid games because this one came out in 91, I want to say. But I like it more than most people, but it is still in my lower tier of Metroid games, but I just have a higher opinion of it than probably most people do, besides Jason, because when we did top 5 Metroidvanias for our very first episode, this was his number 1, because this is like one of his primary games from his childhood. But most of the discourse about this game online is that it's a bad game, and I think it's a very decent game because it's just so much better than the original. So, but yeah, when I did not finally, but when I did get through it again for my second playthrough, I beat it in 2 hours and 28 minutes and got that achievement. So I now have 100% of the retro achievements for Metroid 2. It is now my 13th game I think I have all the retro achievements for, and it is the second game that Dude 1286 wrote the achievements for that I have now gotten all the achievements in. The first one being the also a Game Boy game, the original version of Link's Awakening. So shout out to Dude for writing the achievements for Link's Awakening and for Metroid 2.
Okay, cool. I'm getting tired, so I'm just gonna call the show right now. There, all right then, buddy.
All right.
Well, this was fun, and it was good to finally be back here. Neo, thank you for coming on. Neo, do you like to tell people where they can find you, what you got planned?
Yeah. So thanks for having I'm glad things are looking up for you, because I missed doing this the last couple weeks. So glad to be back on here to talk about what I've been playing. As for what I've got going on my channel, tomorrow night we are doing a Metroid Prime 4 roundtable discussion, because it's now most people have had a chance to play it and form their own thoughts on it. And there was a lot of controversy about the game. So we're doing a roundtable discussion that will be between myself, Dude 1286, Lowest Expectations, and Jay Bongo. The four of us are going to be hashing it out, talking about all the different aspects of the game, what we liked, what we didn't like, and so that'll be a fun discussion. I've never done something like a stream like this before, so it'll be interesting to see how it turns out. But I'm really looking forward to it. Going into detail about Metroid Prime 4 and everything it does right and everything it does wrong, coming from a bunch of people who are big Metroid fans. So that is tomorrow night. At 5 o'clock Pacific. I forgot to adjust this. And then since I finished Revenge of the Savage Planet on this last Metroidvania Monday, I'm taking a Metroidvania Monday off, and I haven't done one in a while, so I'm going to be doing Mass Effect Monday on Monday instead. So if anyone wants to join me for some Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, you are welcome to join. Let me know. I have it on Xbox and on Steam, so if you want to play, just let me know, and you are welcome to join. I haven't done one of those, I think, since November, so it'll be fun to hopefully play with some people. I'll play I'll play solo if I have to with a bunch of randoms, but I enjoy having people join me for Metroidvania Monday, and then we'll be back next Tuesday for Top 5, and we are ranking our top 5 favorite puzzle games, and then I'll be back here again next week for Backlog Battlin on Wednesday.
All right, cool. Link to his channels in the description of this, so click on the little @ and I'll take you right there. So go give him a sub if you're new here. As for myself, we'll be back tomorrow night with Mr. Nerdporeal Lifeform as we do the Legacy Loading episode, as we watch the G4 Icons episode of Donkey Kong. So join us for that tomorrow, same time, 8 p.m. Central. And with that being said, everyone, have yourself a very great night. And try to enjoy the rest of your week. It's very cold out there in some parts of the United States. I'm one of those affected. And some people are still dealing with the snow and the ice and everything out there, too, with the crazy car stuff. I've been seeing some crazy videos of cars basically becoming merry-go-rounds. So drive safe.
Drive safe.
And have a good one, everyone. We will talk to you all